Captain Kim Do-yeon stood at the observation window of the orbital defense platform Jirisan, watching Earth spin slowly below him. The blue oceans and greenlands looked peaceful from up here. He thought about his wife and daughter in Busan, probably eating breakfast right now. He smiled and checked the time. His shift would end in 6 hours. Then he would call them. The alarm changed everything. Red lights flashed across every screen. Do-yeon ran to his station, his heart beating fast. The sensor officer, a young woman named Lieutenant Shin Yoon-ji, looked at her screen with wide eyes. "Sir, we have contacts." Many contacts. They just appeared near Mars. Do-yeon leaned over her shoulder. The screen showed 200 ships, each one larger than anything humans had ever built. They moved in perfect formation toward Earth. "Get me Admiral Choi Han-soo now." On Earth, in a bunker beneath Geneva, Dr. Park Yuna was already watching. She had spent 5 years studying alien signals, trying to understand the languages of the stars. 3 days ago, she had intercepted a strange transmission. She had translated it and sent warnings to every government on Earth. Nobody listened. The translation sat. On her desk, the primitive world called Earth is ready for harvest. Resistance expected. Minimal. Time to conquest. 7 standard cycles. Now the Velthari were here, and Yuna could only watch. Admiral Choi Han-soo was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought in 3 wars on Earth and had hoped he would never see another. When the Velthari fleet appeared, he knew this war would be different. This war would decide if humanity lived or died. "Send a diplomatic shuttle," he ordered. "Tell them we want to talk." The shuttle launched from the European Space Center. It carried 5 ambassadors from 5 different nations, all hoping to find peace. They broadcasted messages of friendship in every language, including the Velthari language that Dr. Yuna had decoded. The Velthari response was simple. A single beam of light from their lead ship, and the shuttle became dust. "They have rejected our offer," an aide said, his voice shaking. Admiral Han-soo closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, they were hard as stone. "All stations, prepare for combat." But there was no combat. There was only death. The Velthari ships spread across the sky like a dark blanket. They did not target military bases first. They targeted cities. Seoul, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, Lagos. Beams of fire fell from heaven, and millions of people died in seconds. On the Jirisan, Captain Do-yeon watched Seoul disappear. The city where he was born, where he went to school, where he met his wife gone in a flash of light. He tried to call Busan. No answer. He tried again and again. Nothing. "Busan is gone, sir," Lieutenant Shin said quietly. "The whole southeastern coast is gone." Do-yeon felt something break inside him. His wife, his daughter, his parents. Everyone he loved turned to ash. He wanted to scream. He wanted to cry. Instead, he stood straight and looked at his crew. "How many ships do we have?" 47 orbital platforms. 12 armed shuttles. 3 destroyers. Against 200 alien warships, it was nothing. But Do-yeon did not care about winning anymore. He cared about making them pay. All platforms, open fire. The battle lasted 11 minutes. Human weapons scratched the Velthari shields like fingernails on armor. The aliens did not even slow down. They destroyed the Jirisan sister stations one by one. The destroyers fought bravely and died quickly. The shuttles never got close enough to matter. When a Velthari beam hit the Jirisan, Do-yeon was thrown across the room. Fire and smoke filled the air. He crawled toward the escape pods, pulling Lieutenant Shin behind him. They made it inside just as the station broke apart. As the pod fell toward Earth, Do-yeon looked out the small window. The planet was burning. Fires covered entire continents. Smoke rose into the atmosphere, turning the blue sky brown. In 6 hours, the Velthari had killed 40 million humans. Dr. Yuna watched the destruction from her bunker. She had stopped crying hours ago. Now she just worked, translating every Velthari communication she could find. She needed to understand them. She needed to find a weakness. She found something else instead. They think we will surrender, she said to herself, reading the latest transmission. They have conquered 47 worlds. Every single one surrendered after losing their major cities. They expect us to do the same. She sat back in her chair and thought about this. The Velthari had a plan. They would bomb Earth until humans begged for mercy, then turn them into slaves. It had worked 47 times before, but the Velthari had never met humans before. In the ruins of Beijing, survivors pulled each other from the rubble. In the ashes of New York, firefighters searched for anyone still alive. In the remains of London, people shared their food and water with strangers. Humanity was hurt. Humanity was bleeding. But humanity was not surrendering. Admiral Hunsu had survived. His command center was deep underground, built to survive nuclear war. Now it would help humanity survive something worse. Messages came from all over the world. Military units reporting in. Scientists offering help. Engineers with ideas. Ordinary people asking how they could fight. Nobody talked about giving up. Nobody talked about surrender. The Velthari are demanding we send representatives to discuss terms, an aide reported. Terms of surrender. Yes, sir. Admiral Hansu thought about his grandchildren, killed in the attack on Seoul. He thought about the millions of dead. He thought about what surrender would mean humanity as slaves forever. Send them a reply, he said. What should it say, sir? The old admiral stood up straight. His eyes were not tired anymore. They were burning. Tell them this. You attacked Earth first. You killed our families. You burned our cities. You think we will kneel? You are wrong. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive. You wanted war. You will get war. And when it is over, you will wish you had never heard of Earth. The message was sent. The Velthari received it and laughed. Primitives making threats. Insects pretending to be dangerous. They had heard such words from other species before conquest. It meant nothing. They did not understand. They could not understand. No species they had ever encountered was like humanity. No species had spent its entire history fighting itself, perfecting the art of war, learning to survive against impossible odds. The Velthari saw a wounded animal and expected it to die quietly. They had just poked something far more dangerous. Captain Doyan's escape pod crashed in the mountains of Japan. He climbed out, injured but alive. Lieutenant Shin was with him, along with 3 other survivors from the Jirisan. What do we do now, sir? Shin asked. Doyan looked at the burning sky. Somewhere up there, the Velthari were celebrating their easy victory. They thought it was over. They were wrong. We find other survivors. We rebuild. We learn how to hurt them. Can we win? Dogyan thought about his wife and daughter. He thought about the 40 million dead. He thought about every human who had ever fought against impossible odds and refused to give up. They made a mistake, he said. They left us alive. Now they will learn why that was the worst decision they ever made. Across the burning earth, in bunkers and basements, in mountains and mines, humanity began to plan. The Velthari had won the first battle. But the war was just beginning. 3 months had passed since the day the sky burned. The Velthari had not attacked again. They did not need to. They had placed a blockade of 50 warships around Earth, stopping any ship from leaving or entering. They believed humanity would slowly starve and beg for mercy. They were wrong. Deep beneath the ocean floor, in a shipyard that was built to survive nuclear war, Engineer Taiwu worked without sleep. He had been a civilian, a simple ship designer, until the attack killed his entire family in Lagos. His wife had been Nigerian. They had moved there to raise their children near her parents. Now they were all gone. Taiwu did not want revenge. He wanted something bigger. He wanted to make sure no human would ever feel this helpless again. The problem is their shields, he explained to General Yun Murray, the woman who commanded the underground resistance. Our energy weapons cannot break through. They are designed to stop exactly that kind of attack. General Yun was a small woman with short hair and eyes that missed nothing. She had been a ground commander before the invasion, fighting in conflicts most people had forgotten. Now she led the biggest military project in human history, so we cannot hurt them. Taiwu smiled for the first time in months. I did not say that. I said energy weapons cannot hurt them. but I have been studying their shields. They are designed to stop focused energy lasers, plasma, particle beams, things that advanced civilizations use, and they are not designed to stop what primitive civilizations use. Like nuclear weapons. General Yoon stared at him. Nuclear weapons? Those are centuries old. Exactly. The Velthari do not think anyone still uses them. Their shields let solid objects through if they are moving slowly enough. A nuclear torpedo, moving at the right speed, will pass through their shields like they are not there, and then it will explode inside their ship. For the first time since the invasion, General Yoon laughed. They think we are too primitive to be dangerous. Let us show them how wrong they are. On the surface, Lieutenant Bae Soo-jin was fighting a different kind of war. She had been a pilot on the Seoul Space Elevator. When the attack happened, she watched the elevator fall, killing thousands of people. She had escaped in a maintenance shuttle. And since then, she had been organizing raids against Velthari. Supply ships. Her latest target was a convoy carrying food and water from the asteroid belt to the blockade ships. The Velthari did not think they needed to protect their supply lines. Why would they? The humans had no ships left, but Soo-jin had found ships. Old cargo shuttles. Mining vessels. Tourist rockets. Anything that could fly and carry a weapon. She had gathered 30 of them, crewed by pilots who had lost everything and feared nothing. Remember the plan? She said over the radio. We hit fast, we grab what we can, and we run. Do not try to fight them. We cannot win a straight battle, yet said one of her pilots, a young man named Kang Ji-hoon. Yet Soo-jin agreed. The raid was chaos. Human ships came from every direction, firing missiles and running away before the Velthari could respond. They destroyed 2 supply ships and captured a third, dragging it into Earth's atmosphere before the enemy could stop them. When the captured ship was opened, they found something better than food. They found Velthari technology, computers, weapons, communication equipment, things that human scientists could study and learn from. Supreme Arbiter Kethros, the commander of the Velthari invasion, received the report of the raid. He did not take it seriously. Insects, he said to his officers. They steal crumbs from our table and think they have won a victory. Let them have their small moments. When they are starving, they will crawl to us and beg. His officers agreed. None of them noticed the pattern. The raids were getting more organized, more effective, more frequent. None of them wondered where the humans were getting their ships. None of them asked why the humans had not surrendered yet. They should have, in Geneva. Dr. Park Yuna worked in her bunker, surrounded by screens showing Velthari communications. She had learned their language completely now. She understood their culture, their history, their way of thinking, and she had found something important. They are afraid, she told Captain Do-yeon, who had traveled through underground tunnels to meet her. He was a different man, now harder, colder, with scars on his face and ice in his eyes. Afraid of what? They are winning, afraid of their own empire. They have conquered many worlds, but their resources are stretched thin. This invasion force is not just a small group. It is a large part of their mobile fleet. If they fail here, other conquered species might see weakness. There might be rebellions. Do-yeon thought about this, so they need to win quickly. Yes, and they expected to. Their records show that every species they have conquered surrendered within days of losing their major cities. We should have given up 3 months ago. The fact that we have not is making them nervous. Good. Let them be nervous. But Yuna was not finished. There is more. I intercepted a message from Kethros to the Velthari homeworld. He told them the conquest was complete. He lied to his own leaders to avoid looking weak. Do-yeon's eyes widened. He lied. Yes, his leaders think Earth is already conquered. They do not know we are still fighting. If we can hurt him badly enough, he will not be able to hide it anymore. And then he will be punished by his own people. For the first time in months, Do-yeon felt something like hope. Deep in the Pacific Ocean, the shipyard worked day and night. Taiwu's designs were being built new warships. With nuclear torpedoes and armor that could survive Velthari weapons for a few precious seconds, the first ship was almost complete. General Yoon stood on the construction platform watching workers attach the final pieces. The ship was called the Dokdo, named after islands that Koreans had protected for centuries. It was smaller than Vel-3 ships, but faster and more deadly than anything humanity had ever built. How many more? She asked Taiyu. 31 others are in various stages of construction. We will have a fleet of 32 within 2 months. 32 against 50. 32 with weapons they cannot stop. Against 50 who do not know we exist. I like those odds. General Yoon nodded. Across the world, other shipyards were working on the same project. In hidden bases, under mountains, pilots were training on simulators. In laboratories, scientists were studying captured Vel-3 technology. Everything was building toward one moment. Above the Earth, the Vel-3 waited and watched. They saw a dying planet, a broken species, a war that was already over. They were blind to what was happening beneath them. Shan ran more raids. Taiwu built more ships. Yuna decoded more secrets. Doyon trained more soldiers. And humanity grew stronger every day. Then the Dokdo finished its final tests. General Yoon stood on its bridge, surrounded by the best crew she could find. The engines hummed with power. The weapons were loaded. The crew was ready. Send a message to all hidden bases, she ordered. Operation Falcon's Rise begins in 48 hours. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon we have. We hit them with everything at once. Her communications officer hesitated. What should the message say, General? Yoon looked at the screen showing Earth, still burning, still suffering, still waiting. She thought about the dead. She thought about the living. She thought about what humanity would become. Tell them this. They came to conquer. They will learn to fear. 48 hours. Then the Vel-3 would learn that humans were not prey. They were predators. And predators do not surrender. They hunt. The Vel-3 officer on the blockade ship, Eternal Dominion, was bored. 6 months of watching a dying planet had made him lazy. His sensors showed the same thing, every day nothing. The humans were broken. The humans were finished. The humans were no threat. Then 32 ships appeared from nowhere, and everything changed. They came from beneath the oceans, from underground bases, from hidden places the Vel-3 never thought to look. 32 warships, small but fast, moving in perfect formation toward the moon. What is this? The officer shouted, suddenly awake. They appear to be human vessels. Human vessels. Impossible. We destroyed their fleet. But there they were on his screen, getting closer every second. He sent an alert to Supreme Arbiter Kethros, then ordered his ship to intercept. The Eternal Dominion was a cruiser, 3 times larger than any human ship. Its weapons could destroy a planet. Its shields could stop anything. Or so its crew believed. Lieutenant Bae Soo-jin led the fighter squadrons. Her ship was small and fast, built for speed rather than survival. Behind her flew 200 pilots, each one carrying nuclear missiles designed by engineer Taiwu. All fighters, follow my lead, she said calmly. Remember your training. Hit them fast, hit them hard. Do not give them time to think. The Vel-3 cruiser opened fire. Beams of energy cut through space, destroying 3 human fighters instantly. But the others kept coming. Twisting and turning in patterns the Vel-3 had never seen. Human pilots had trained for war since they could walk. They played video games that taught reflexes. They watched movies that showed battle tactics. They competed in sports that built teamwork. Every part of human culture had prepared them for this moment. The Vel-3 had conquered 47 species. All of them fought the same ways, predictable, logical. Humans were none of those things. Soo-jin squadrons split into 6 groups, attacking from different angles at different times. The Vel-3 gunners could not track them all. They destroyed some, but others got through. Fire torpedoes, Soo-jin ordered. 30 nuclear torpedoes flew toward the Eternal Dominion. The ship's shields flashed, stopping most of them. But 3 passed through, moving slowly enough to fool the shield technology. Just as Taiwu had predicted, the explosions tore the cruiser apart from the inside. The first Vel-3 warship died. Its crew never understood why. Supreme Arbiter Kethros watched from his command ship, the Pride of Empire. His mandibles clicked with anger and confusion. How? He demanded. How did they build a fleet? How did they destroy a cruiser? No one could answer him. The Battle of Luna had begun. Captain Kim Do-yeon commanded the Dokdo from its bridge. He was not the same man who had watched Earth burn 6 months ago. That man had been a soldier. This man was something else. Something harder. Something dangerous. All ships engage the enemy fleet. Target their engines first. Cripple them, then kill them. The human fleet spread out, each ship finding its own target. The Velthari had 50 warships, but they were spread thin, trying to maintain the blockade. The humans attacked in groups, 3 or 4 ships against 1. Overwhelming the enemy with numbers and speed, General Yoon Murray commanded from a hidden base on Earth. Watching everything through satellite links, she moved ships like pieces on a chessboard, finding weaknesses, exploiting mistakes. The Velthari cruiser near the lunar South Pole is isolated, she said. Dayan, take your group and destroy it. Understood. The Dokdo and 3 other ships raced toward their target. The Velthari cruiser saw them coming and opened fire. One human ship took a direct hit and exploded. The others kept coming. Nuclear torpedoes, full spread, Do-yeon ordered. The torpedoes flew. The Velthari shields flickered and failed. The cruiser died, but the battle was not one-sided. Velthari weapons were powerful, and they were learning. They started targeting the human ship's engines, trying to slow them down. They grouped together for protection, creating walls of fire that nothing could pass. Lieutenant Shin Yongji served on the Dokdo as tactical officer. She had escaped the Jirisan with Do-yeon and had trained harder than anyone for this moment. Sir, enemy reinforcements are coming from the outer blockade. 20 ships, arriving in 10 minutes. Do-yeon checked his losses. 11 human ships destroyed, but 28 Velthari ships were dead or crippled. The math was in humanity's favor for now. Pull back to Luna, use the moon for cover. Make them come to us. Dr. Park Yuna had given Do-yeon one last gift before the battle of the Velthari tactical communication codes. Now he could hear everything the enemy said. The humans are retreating, a Velthari captain reported. They hide behind their moon like cowards, Good Kethros replied. Surround them. Crush them. End this embarrassment. Do-yeon smiled. The Velthari thought they were winning. They did not see the trap. As enemy ships moved around the moon to surround the human fleet, they found something unexpected. Mining stations, cargo ships, and civilian vessels, armed with nuclear weapons, all waiting. Fire everything, Sujin ordered. The space around Luna became a storm of nuclear fire. 12 more Velthari ships died. The survivors retreated in confusion, their formation broken. Push forward, Do-yeon commanded. Do not let them regroup. The human fleet chased the retreating enemy, destroying stragglers, capturing damaged ships. The blockade was breaking. Earth was fighting back. On the Pride of Empire, Supreme Arbiter Kethros received a report he could not believe. We have lost 28 ships, Supreme Arbiter. The enemy has captured 3 others. Our blockade is no longer effective. 28 ships. Lost to primitives. Lost to insects. Lost to a species that was supposed to surrender in days. Kethros looked at the battle map. His forces were scattered and confused. The humans were organized and aggressive. Everything he knew about conquest was wrong. Retreat to Mars, he ordered quietly. Regroup. Wait for reinforcements from the homeworld. Supreme Arbiter, the homeworld thinks the conquest is complete. If you tell them I know what I told them, Kethros snapped. Send a request for reinforcements. Tell them. Tell them we are facing unexpected resistance. Do not mention how many ships we have lost. He could not tell the truth. If his leaders knew how badly he had failed, he would be executed. He needed to win quickly, before anyone discovered his lies. But humans do not make things easy. As the Velthari retreated, Do-yeon sent a message to every human on Earth. It was broadcast on every channel, in every language. To every survivor hiding in bunkers and ruins, day we showed them that humanity will not die quietly. Today we showed them that attacking Earth was a mistake. We have won our first battle, but the war is not over. They will come back with more ships, more weapons, more anger, and we will be ready. Because we are human. And humans never give up. Across the world, people cheered. In bunkers and basements, survivors cried with joy. In hospitals and camps, the wounded found new strength. The sky was still dark with smoke. The cities were still ruins. Millions were still dead. But for the first time since the invasion, humanity had hope, and on the moon. Standing in a captured Velthary station, Captain Doyon looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, the enemy was planning their next attack. Let them plan. Let them come. Humanity would be waiting. General Yun's voice came through his communicator. Congratulations, Commodore Doyon. Your promotion is effective immediately. Thank you, General. But we are not done yet. No, we are just getting started. The battle was over. The war was just beginning. And the Velthary were about to learn what humanity could really do. 1 year had passed since the Velthary attacked Earth. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had changed. And the Velthary were starting to understand their mistake. Commodore Kim Doyon stood on the bridge of the Baekdu, the most powerful warship humanity had ever built. It was 3 times larger than the original Dokdo, with weapons that could match anything the Velthary had. Engineer Taiwu had designed it personally, using captured alien technology combined with human creativity. Sir, we are approaching Proxima Centauri, Lieutenant Shin Yunji reported. She was his second in command now, promoted for her bravery at the Battle of Luna. Doyon looked at the star map. Proxima Centauri was 4 light-years from Earth's first star system beyond humanity's home. The Velthary had built a staging base there, using it to supply their invasion fleet. Taking that base would cut off the enemy completely. How many ships do we have? 67 human warships, sir. Plus 18 Allied vessels. Allied vessels. That was the biggest change of all. 3 months ago, Dr. Park Yuna had received a secret message. It came from a species called the Kasari, one of the 47 worlds the Velthary had conquered. They had watched humanity fight, and they wanted to help. We were slaves for 200 years, the Khazari ambassador had said. We thought resistance was impossible. You showed us we were wrong. Then came the Morvani, a race of traitors who had lost their freedom. Then the Talathi, gentle scientists who had been forced to build weapons for their conquerors. One by one, Velthary's victims reached out to humanity. Now they were fighting together. Commander Baesu Jin led the fighter squadrons, as always. She had become a legend, the pilot who could not be killed, the woman who had destroyed more Velthary ships than anyone else. Young pilots looked at her with wonder. Enemy commanders feared her name. All fighters, stay close to the fleet until we reach the base, she ordered. We do not know what defenses they have. The Allied fleet jumped into hyperspace using technology they had captured from the enemy. 4 light-years in 3 days. A journey that would have taken humanity decades was now a short trip. When they arrived at Proxima Centauri, they found the Velthary waiting. 50 warships, Shin reported, plus the station itself. It has heavy weapons and strong shields. Doyon studied the enemy formation. The Velthary had learned from their defeats. They stayed in tight groups, protecting each other. They kept their shields at maximum power. They did not underestimate humans anymore, but humans had learned too. Signal the Khazari ships to approach from the left. Morvani ships take the right. Talathi ships stay back and provide covering fire. Doyon pointed at the station on his screen. We will go straight for their base. Cut off the head, and the body will die. The battle began. Velthary weapons filled space with deadly light. 3 human ships exploded in the first minute, but the Allied fleet did not stop. They pushed forward. Firing nuclear torpedoes and energy weapons together, Engineer Taiwu was on board the Baekdu, watching his creations fight. He made adjustments in real time, changing power settings and weapon frequencies based on what he saw. Their shields are stronger than before, he said. They have adapted. But so have we. Try this. He sent new targeting data to the fleet. Instead of attacking shields directly, human ships started firing at specific points where the shields overlapped. The combined stress made them fail faster. Commander Sujin led her fighters through the chaos. A Velthari cruiser was targeting the Baekdu with its main weapon. She flew directly at it, dodging fire that would have killed her instantly if it hit. "All fighters follow me. We are taking down that cruiser." 20 fighters followed her into the storm. 6 died. The rest reached their target and launched their torpedoes. The cruiser's shields failed, and its main weapon went silent. "Target eliminated," Sujin reported calmly. The Velthari commander sent a desperate message to Supreme Arbiter Kethros, who was still at Mars, waiting for reinforcements that never came. "We are losing the battle. The humans have allies now. Other conquered species are fighting with them. We need help." Kethros did not answer. He could not answer. His lies had caught up with him. The Velthari homeworld had finally learned the truth. Their conquered planet was not conquered at all. Their invasion fleet was being destroyed. Their Supreme Arbiter had lied to hide his failure. Kethros had been recalled in disgrace. A new commander was coming, but she was weeks away. The Proxima Centauri base was on its own. After 72 hours of brutal combat, the battle ended. The Velthari staging base was captured. 38 enemy ships were destroyed. The rest retreated into deep space, scattered and broken. Commodore Doyon walked through the captured station with Dr. Yuna beside him. She had come to study the enemy's computers, looking for more secrets. "We found something important," she said. "Complete maps of Velthari's space. Locations of all their military bases. Supply routes. Communication codes. Everything we need to take the war to them." Doyon nodded slowly. "Then that is what we will do." He looked out a window at the alien stars. Behind him was Earth, still recovering from the invasion. Ahead of him was the enemy's home territory, filled with enslaved worlds waiting for freedom. "Send a message to the Velthari High Command," he said. "What should it say?" "Tell them this. You attacked our home. You killed our families. You thought we were weak. You were wrong. Now we are coming for you. Not for revenge. For justice. For every world you have enslaved. For every species you have conquered. Humanity is coming, and we will not stop until every chain is broken." The message was sent across the galaxy. Velthari commanders received it and felt something they had not felt in centuries. Fear. But it was not just the Velthari who heard the message. The enslaved worlds heard it too. THE Khazari shared it with their underground resistance. The Morvani broadcast it through their hidden trading networks. The Talathi sent it to scientists who had been forced to serve the Empire. Rebellions began on a dozen worlds. Slaves rose up against their masters. Soldiers refused to fight for conquerors. The Velthari Empire, which had stood for 1,000 years, began to crack. And at the center of it all were humans, the primitive species that was supposed to surrender in days. Commander Sujin looked at the stars and thought about what they had accomplished. 1 year ago, humanity had been alone and dying. Now, they led an alliance that was changing the galaxy. "Do you think we can win?" she asked Taiwu, who was already planning upgrades for the fleet. The engineer smiled. "I think the Velthari made one mistake that cannot be fixed. They left us alive. They gave us time. And then they gave us a reason to fight." Pointed at the captured station, now flying a human flag. "Everything that happens from now on is their own fault." Sujin nodded. The tide had turned. Humanity was no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting for victory, and the galaxy was learning a lesson. It would never forget, never attack Earth first, because humanity always strikes back. 2 years had passed since the Velthari attacked Earth. The galaxy had transformed completely. What began as a war of survival had become a war of liberation, and now it was coming to an end. Admiral Kim Do-yeon stood on the bridge of the Baekdu, looking at something no human had ever seen before, the Velthari homeworld. It was a large planet with purple clouds and silver oceans, surrounded by orbital stations and defense platforms. Millions of Velthari lived there, protected by the largest fleet they had ever assembled. It was not enough. "How many ships do we have?" Do-Yan asked. 512, Admiral Choi Hun-soo replied. He had joined the fleet for this final battle, refusing to stay behind on Earth. 240 human warships. The rest are allied vessels Kasari, Morvani, Talathi, and 16 other species we have freed in the past year. 500 ships, built by species who had been slaves until humanity showed them how to fight. Crewed by soldiers who had lost everything and refused to surrender. United by a single purpose, ending the Velthari Empire forever. Commander Bae Soo-jin commanded the fighter squadrons, now over 1,000 small ships, each one deadly. Engineer Oh Tai-woo supervised the fleet's weapon systems from the Baek-do's engineering section. Dr. Park Yuna, preparing to accept the enemy's surrender when it came. But first, there would be one final battle. The Velthari fleet is moving to intercept, Lieutenant Shin Yoon-ji reported. 300 ships. They are deploying in a defensive formation around the planet. Do-Yan nodded. Send the message we prepared. The transmission went out to the Velthari High Command. It showed Admiral Do-Yan standing straight and calm, speaking words that Yuna had translated into perfect Velthari language. Leaders of the Velthari Empire. 2 years ago, you sent your fleet to conquer Earth. You killed 40 million of our people. You burned our cities. You expected us to surrender. We did not. Instead, we built a fleet. We found allies. We freed the worlds you had enslaved for centuries. Now we stand at your homeworld with 500 warships. Your empire is finished. Your army is scattered. Your slaves have become your enemies. This is your last chance. Surrender unconditionally, and you will face justice. Refuse, and you will face destruction. Choose wisely. For a long moment, there was silence. Then the Velthari response came, their entire fleet advancing toward the human alliance. They had chosen war.
Our ships.
Engage, Do-Yan ordered quietly. The final battle began. Space exploded with fire and light. Velthari weapons tore into Alliance ships. Alliance weapons shattered Velthari shields. Fighters swarmed through the chaos like angry insects. Cruisers exchanged devastating blows at close range. Commander Soo-jin flew through the heart of the battle, her squadron destroying any enemy that got too close to the Baidu. She had lost count of how many battles she had fought, how many ships she had killed, how many friends she had buried. But this was the last one. After today, there would be peace. Enemy flagship is trying to retreat, she reported. The Velthari Supreme Commander is aboard. Do not let them escape, Do-Yan replied. They need to answer for what they did. Soo-jin pushed her engines to maximum, chasing the fleeing ship. Her squadron followed, firing everything they had. The flagship's shields flickered and failed. Its engines went dark. It drifted helplessly in space. Target disabled, Soo-jin announced. On the BIDU, engineer Tai-woo watched the battle data with satisfaction. Every weapon he had designed was working perfectly. Every ship he had helped build was fighting exactly as planned. His family would never come back, but their deaths had not been meaningless. Their fleet is breaking, he reported. 60% of their ships are destroyed or disabled. The rest are scattering. Send a message to the planet, Do-Yan ordered. Tell them their military has failed. Tell them to surrender now, or we will take their world by force. This time the response was different. A new voice spoke, not a military commander, but a civilian leader. The Velthari had overthrown their war council during the battle. They were ready to accept terms. We surrender, the voice said. We cannot fight anymore, please. Stop. Do-Yan closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his wife and daughter, killed on the first day of the war. He thought about the 40 million humans who had died. He thought about all the other species the Velthari had enslaved and murdered over centuries. Part of him wanted revenge. Part of him wanted to burn their world the way they had burned Earth. But that was not why humanity had fought. That was not what they were. Cease fire, he ordered. All ships, cease fire. The battle stopped. Dr. Yuna took over, negotiating the terms of surrender. They were harsh but fair. The Velthari would disband their military. They would pay reparations to every world they had conquered. Their leaders would face trials for their crimes, but their people would live. Their world would survive. Some humans complained. They wanted more punishment, more suffering, more revenge. But Yuna explained it best in her address to the Alliance. We fought this war because the Velthari attacked us without reason. We fought because they killed innocents and enslaved the weak. If we destroy them the same way, we become what we were fighting against. Justice is not revenge, and humanity is better than revenge. The trials were held on Luna in a new court built for the purpose. Former Supreme Arbiter Kethros was among those judged. He was found guilty of crimes against humanity and sentenced to spend the rest of his life working to rebuild the cities he had destroyed. Other commanders received similar punishments, not death, but service. Earth began to heal. The cities were being rebuilt better than before. The smoke cleared from the atmosphere. Children were born who had never known war. Life returned to normal, slowly but surely. But humanity would never be the same. 5 years after the invasion, Admiral Doyon stood at the United Earth Space Academy. Addressing the first graduating class of a new generation, these young men and women had grown up during the war. They knew what humanity had suffered and what humanity had achieved. Commander Sujin stood beside him, now head of fleet operations. Engineer Tai Wu was there too, running the research division that continued to advance human technology. And Dr. Yuna watched from the front row. Serving as Earth's ambassador to the new Galactic Coalition, an alliance of free species that would protect each other from any future threat. Doyon looked at the graduates. They were so young. They had their whole lives ahead of them, in a galaxy that was now open to humanity. 5 years ago, they called us primitives. They thought we were weak because we were young. They thought we would break because we had never faced the stars. They were wrong. He paused, remembering everything: the fire, the death, the pain, and then the victories, the alliances, the hope. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not forget. And now, the galaxy knows the truth. If you attack Earth, we will find you. We will defeat you. And we will make certain you never threaten anyone again. Not with revenge, not with cruelty, but with strength and justice, and the determination to protect everyone who cannot protect themselves. The graduates cheered. Their families cheered. Across Earth and 100 allied worlds, people watched and celebrated. The war was over. The Velthari Empire was finished. And humanity had taken its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as protectors. Later that night, Doyon stood alone on a balcony, looking up at the sky. The stars looked different now. They were not distant lights anymore. They were places where humans lived and worked and built new futures. Sujin found him there. She stood beside him in comfortable silence for a while. "Do you think they will ever attack us again?" she asked. "No," Doyon said. "Not the Velthari, and not anyone else, because they know what happens now. They know the price of starting a war with humanity." "What price?" Doyen smiled, a small, tired smile from a man who had fought too many battles and lost too many friends, losing it across the galaxy. In 100 different languages, traders and travelers passed along the same warning. It became common knowledge, repeated by every species who had ever heard of Earth. Never attack humans first, because they never give up. They never forgive. They never forget.